Welcome back to our Introduction to C++ series. This is part 6, where we're going to be learning about arrays. So this is a single dimensional array. So here I have us declaring a single dimensional array called array that has 5 elements in it. Now, no values have been populated in this array yet. So within our memory, we actually have a list, basically, of our doubles. So this is array at 0, and if I chose, I can set the value to 1.3, and so on and so forth. So this array element, this is at index 2, and this is the value at index 2. So this is conceptually what we are doing with an array, which is grouping everything together. Now let's learn how to work with them in C++. So I already have here my part 6 folder and my file called Array Examples, and within it I have it including IOStream and using namespace standard so that we can access cout, and I have our main function defined. So let's declare that array that I showed you in the slide. So that was double array with the size of 5. So we can individually set the values in our array. We can reference each element at its specific index by counting. And in the case of C++, we start counting at 0. So array at element 0 equals 1.3. And array at index 1 equals 2.4. And so on and so forth. So let's just add the rest. So we've populated our array. Now let's access our array and outprint what each element is. So let's use a for loop. So we can say for int I equaling 0, I is less than the size of our array is 5, I plus plus. And we can outprint each element in the array. So we can say cout, and we access array at position I. And I'm going to add a space. So this will outprint 1.3, 2.4, 3.7, 5.5, 12.7. Let's test this. So there's our outprint. So we got 1.3, 2.4, 3.7, 5.5, and 12.7. Now what we've done here with a for loop and outprinting, you could also use a for loop and set all the values just like how we did here. So to reference it, you could do array I equals whatever your specific value is. There are other ways to access elements in an array. Last part, I taught you about pointers. Well, what is actually array? If we look at array, it actually points to a memory address. So if I wanted to outprint array, cout, say array points to the memory address. And I'm going to add an end line up here. So if we run this, you're going to actually see that array is pointing to a spot in memory. There's the spot that it is pointing at in memory. We can access elements in an array using pointers as well. So actually, asterisk array is referring to the first value in an array. So if I dereference cout and I dereference our array, you'll see that this will show us 1.3. Have it. So we can use something called pointer arithmetic to access all the memory addresses. So I can take this for loop here, and using something called pointer arithmetic, I can access all the values in an array without having to do the bracket I. So I would do array. So we can use something called array arithmetic to access each element in our array. So I can take this for loop here, and the equivalent way of writing this for loop using dereferencing of a point would be asterisk and then array plus I. And now we will move up our array and see every single element. This for loop here is equivalent to this for loop. And there you have it, the exact same outprint. What you can see from here is that our arrays are actually pointers. So arrays can actually be implicitly converted to the pointer of a proper type. So in this case, we can make something called double pointer, array pointer, and it can be equal to array because they share the same type as double. We can access array pointer and change the values of our array by dereferencing our array pointer and then setting it equal to a value. So what I'm doing here is I'm actually setting the position at index 0 equal to 10. I can also increment up our pointer, and what happens here is now I have moved up to index 1, and I can set now index 1 equal to 20. So if we want to, we can see what we have done to array by doing this. So let's grab our for loop here. And we've changed the first two values to 10 and 20. We can use pointers and declare new arrays dynamically. So we could make a pointer, and let's do an int for this time. So we'll say int, and this will be a pointer called int array, and we can say it equals, and we use the new keyword. So new int, and instead of parentheses when we were doing a single int, we use our brackets. So we say a new int the size of 3. And then we can set values for this int array pointer. So we can do a for loop. So for int I equals 0, I is less than 3. And we can set each value of our int array pointer. So dereference int array plus I equals I. And let's also print this out. So I'm going to take this guy here and change this to be int array. So last but not least, I'm done with using int array here. So after I'm done using my dynamically allocated memory, we must always deallocate. We don't want to create memory leaks. So now how to properly dispose of an array means that we use the delete keyword. But in addition to delete, because this is an array, we use our brackets. And this is saying we're deleting the array. We're disposing of the array. So delete int array, and this says that an array needs to be deleted, and int array is the pointer to that array. And if you can see here, I made our last for loop. I didn't update how far we were going. So this is the size of the array with 3. After that, we are actually continuing to access the memory, and what's in there is kind of garbage. So you need to make sure that you pay attention to what you're doing and you have the size of the array correct. So we hide this panel, and here I want to change this to 3. If I was doing some type of summation, I would have a problem and I would get back a bad result. So that's why it's very important that you pay attention to what you're doing when you are working with arrays. So we've learned how to use arrays, and we also learned how to work with pointers with arrays. Let's now use the arrays with a method. So if you see here, we've been calling this for loop to print our array. Let's now make a function called print array. So let's go all the way up to the top. We're going to make a new function that's a void, and it's called print array. So print array, and it's going to take in 2 parameters. It's going to take in an array. In this case, we want to print a double array, and it's going to take in the length of the array, or the size of the array. So we'll call this double array and the length, so int length. And I'm going to copy this for loop right here with the end line and paste it and change this 5 to length. So now this is a function that prints a double array for a specific and the specific size. So we could call that print array instead of using this method here. So we can replace this with print array, and we pass in our array, and the length was 5. And now we can use wherever that for loop is, we can replace it with calling this function. So we could here call print array, and here when we were checking after we changed the 10 to 20, we can call print array. Now our int array is an integer type, and it's a pointer. So if we wanted to make a function, we'd have to make a separate function for this for printing an int array. So maybe we would rename this print double array, and then you make another method called print int array. But we've made these changes. Let's test it. And everything is still working as intended. So there's one more thing for you to learn. And so we've learned how to set up our array and pass values. You could also use something called an Array Initializer. So let's comment out this double array right here. And we're going to make the equivalent using an Array Initializer. So we can write double array equals our curly brackets 1.3, 2.4, and a semicolon at the end. And this is equivalent to this setup right here. So if we run this, this actually is going to have our array set up for 5 elements, and they're all in the same spot. So if we rerun this code, we'll still get the same output. There it is, still the same. So congratulations, you have now learned how to use arrays in C++ and also work with pointers with arrays. So you're one step further in your journey of learning C++.